Alrighty, y'all. Back to you with another video. Today we're going to be working on a 2012 GMC Sierra 1500, and we're going to be doing an oil catch can install. If you don't know what this is for, you do your own little research. Just look up oil catch can. You get all the information on it that you need. For those of you who do know what this is and want to install one, I'm gonna go down the basics of some of the things you will need and how to install it. So first of all, you will need an oil catch can. Um, Typically, these kits come with some of them come with hose, some of them don't. Most of them have fittings. I got the fittings here. Come with O-rings and stuff, so you will need those definitely. Some of them come with Teflon tape and other miscellaneous little things. But all in all, um, you'll need the catch can itself. You're gonna need your fittings. I'm gonna be using the 3/8 fittings. They got like 5/8, and I think it's like, I forget what the other sizes are. But I'm gonna be running with the 3/8, which is what I have as far as my PCV system goes. So you're gonna need your fittings. You're gonna need your O-rings for your fittings. So these O-rings will go right here on the back side of the fittings. So once this gets screwed in, the O-ring will make a seal here in between the oil catch can and the fitting. So you're gonna need that. A little bit of Loctite. I'm gonna show y'all why in a minute. I just use these pipe cutters to cut my hose. You're gonna need hose. I would roughly suggest getting like 5 feet of hose. This is a 3/8 PCV fuel line hose, same thing, same difference. So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need some hose clamps, worm clamps, however you want to call them. You're gonna need a bracket. This is the bracket that I built myself. I fabbed this up out of 1.5 by 1.5 angle iron and just a little bit of welding. So like I said, I just fabbed this up myself for my catch can. I simply repurposed the old bed frame. So if you want some cheap free steel, get a free metal bed frame someone's throwing out, and you can build your own bracket. Some kits come with a bracket, however you want to do it. It's up to you. Threaded inserts. So this is what I used to mount my bracket. So these are 1/4 by 20 threaded inserts. This is the threaded insert gun that I used. That's the brand. I don't even know how to say that. Koopool, I guess. Koopool, Koopool. So that's the brand of this threaded insert gun that I'm using. Like I said, I'm running 1/4 by 20 inserts, and that's what I need the thread locker for, is for my bolts. I'm going to show y'all what I got going on. So if you come under the hood, this is your PCV valve line. Obviously it goes to your header, or to your valve cover, runs up, and then it comes back into your intake manifold. So that's the line we're going to be cutting. This is where I'm going to be mounting my bracket. As you can tell, I use those threaded inserts. So I'm going to be using bolts, hence why I'm going to be using the thread locker. There's a lot of vibration in the vehicle, firewall, all that good stuff. So that's why I'm going to be using the thread locker for that. As you can tell, I marked out where my bracket's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and set everything up. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut the lines, and I'm going to show y'all what we got going on. Alrighty. Alrighty, y'all. So back to you with the rest of the video. Here is the oil catch can installed. As you can see, it's mounted on the firewall, hooked up. All the lines are plumbed. So I'm going to go over some of the basics. I'm going to go ahead and hop up here so I can show y'all what I did, what I got going on. So obviously you got 2 hoses. You got the in, and then you got the out. I don't know if you can see that. So the in is going to come from the valve cover, and the out is going to go into your intake manifold. So what I did is I cut the PCV line that runs from the valve cover into the intake. So I cut a section out a little further back. I mean, I could have cut it over here, I just like going almost to the elbow in the back. I don't know why, but that's kind of what I do. And then I just cut it. There's typically like a little 90 here, and I cut it like right past the 90. Um, so if you look on your where your coils are, obviously on your valve cover in the back, you will see where the PCV line is coming out of the valve cover. I don't know if you can see that. So that PCV line right there, I went right past the elbow about 3 inches, and that's where I cut it. And then that's where I put my hose clamp there. And like I said, over here towards the front, it does like a little 90 this way, and I cut it like right past the 90. So with about, well, this was actually almost like 6 foot of hose. With 6 foot of hose, I had about 15 to 18 inches left. And like I said, it's very simple. So the line coming from your valve cover is going to go to your in, and the line going to your intake manifold is going to be your out. Um, one thing I do want to mention, well, there's a couple things I'm going to point out. Whenever you do put your hose over this hardened plastic, just be careful not to crank the clamp down too hard on it. Just snug it up pretty snug. Once you feel it, stop going, that's it. That's all you need. Because this hardened plastic, if you over tighten it, you will crack it and you will damage it. If you crack it, you're going to get a leak. You're going to get air leak. So you're going to get vacuum. You're going to have issues. So just make sure whenever you do clamp it, you don't overdo it, over tighten it. Once you feel it stop, just, hand tight. Once you feel it, that's it. That's all you need. I would recommend trying to get at least like about 1 inch into your rubber hose of this hardened hose, just so you have a good, good amount of bite. Um, Typically what I, recommend. Obviously you can do it however you feel, just a recommendation. And then the way I ran it, obviously, like you could tell, it just comes down the front, and then I have it zip tied roughly every 8 inches, the hoses themselves, and then I have it zip tied to the main harness. So the reason I do this is because then I can put the factory cover back over it, and kind of gives it a stock feel per se, other than the oil catch can sticking out. So at least this way, it's clean, it's not all messy all over the place. And then another thing I will point out, sorry for the lighting, sun's trying to come through. So another thing I will point out is whenever you are installing this, whenever you are mounting this, make sure you stay below the plastic of like the lip of on the wheel, on the wheel well, on the firewall. This plastic lip, make sure you stay below it whenever you do mount. As you can see, I went past it a little bit with this, but it's not going to be an issue because my hood's not going to hit. So if you mount your oil catch can and it goes above this back lip on the firewall where this plastic is for the seal, you're going to have issues where the hood is going to hit your catch can. So just, keep that in mind. Stay below this line as much as you can, so you won't have a fitment issue or anything hitting anything. But it's that simple, guys. And like I said, just zip tie the lines, keep it clean, so it doesn't look messy. Like I said, just very simple process. It's nothing hard. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will, get back to you and help you out as much as I can. Like I said, hopefully, you found this video helpful. Like I said, I did go over some of the stuff you will need, some of the stuff that's required. Again, you don't need bolts and the thing, I can't even think of them right now, the threaded inserts like I used. You can use sheet metal screws. You don't have to do it the way I did it, but I just prefer this way of fastening to the firewall. I just think it's longevity, and just overall, you can take it apart and put the nuts back, and if you ever remove this, whatever. But again, just wanted to make this video for anybody looking for this type of content, and hopefully it was helpful. And God bless, and y'all have a great day.